Program with Rob Jennings and Gary Papa.
Good evening. Rob's on vacation. I'm Chris Wagner. Our top story tonight is one that has devastated all of us here at Action News. Our friend, our news anchor, our weatherman, Jim O'Brien, died today. It happened at 12:30 this afternoon in New Hanover Township, Montgomery County. Jim was skydiving, the thing he loved to do more than almost anything else. The police tell us that his parachute got tangled up in a friend's parachute and that he couldn't free himself in time to break his fall. Jim was born in Beaumont, Texas 43 years ago and has two daughters living in that area. He joined us here at WPVI-TV in 1973, and as you know, he has been a driving force within our news operation ever since. Those of us who had the privilege of working with Jim are having a very hard time digesting the fact that he's gone. We have lost someone we respected, but more than that, someone that many of us love very deeply. This afternoon, Vernon Odom went to the United Parachute Club to find out exactly what happened to Jim.
O'Brien had been skydiving since August of 1978. He was a veteran of more than 800 jumps. Just after noontime, he made his second jump of the day with 4 other experienced skydivers at the United Parachute Club in Gilbertsville, Montgomery County. He jumped here virtually every weekend. Skydivers used the plowed area for landing. His stunned companions told me that this time O'Brien's canopy became entangled with the chute of a jumper named Doug Zelitz at about 500 feet. At about 100 feet, witnesses say, O'Brien discarded his main chute and went to his reserve. But they said it was too late.
He collided with another of the jumpers under the canopy. I didn't see that happen, but I turned a few seconds later, and it was just, as we say here in the sport, a bunch of garbage. The canopies were all entangled around them. And I looked again, and I saw someone have line stretch, and then Jim cut away, and it was too low, and he hit the ground before his reserve couldn't get open.
I just thought what was happening was one man had 2 chutes out, because I only saw one person from both chutes. And the next thing I know, I saw another body in free fall, and I saw impact. And that was it.
Skydiving associates of Jim's talked about his devotion to the sport.
Well, Jim was by all means an excellent jumper. Individual decisions made by jumpers in emergency situations are difficult to comprise because they themselves make that decision. He cut away too low an altitude for a reserve parachute to open properly. He thought it would open. Apparently, he didn't. He wasn't aware, apparently, of the altitude where he was when he did cut away.
It was into this same plowed field that Jim O'Brien took his first parachute jump more than 5 years ago. He loved this sport. Now it has taken his life. Vernon Odom, Channel 6 Action News in Gilbertsville, Pennsylvania.
Jim Gardner's here tonight to share some of his thoughts and his feelings about the man who always called him partner.
Well, because Jim and I usually did most of our philosophizing in the few minutes before a newscast. And it was just Friday night when we were talking about what proved to be a false rumor about the imminent death of a relatively young public official in Philadelphia. The conversation prompted Jim to say, Jim, don't waste time. Get the most out of life that you can and do it now. He said, you just don't know what fate has in store for you. And that was less than 48 hours ago. That was Jim's credo. Get the most that you can out of life. And he did. But in truth, there are many other people who also feel that way. But most of them do much more taking than they do giving. Jim was special because as much as he took from life, he gave back much more. Gary Papa mentioned to me today that there are so many people here at Action News who are deeply indebted to Jim O'Brien, and of course I am one of them. He gave us his energy, his good spirit, his guidance, and his love. One thing he could not give us was his instinctive and extraordinary talent, but we all benefited from our exposure to it. Jim O'Brien's death today is a profound loss to Channel 6. For me, it is an incalculable personal loss, but perhaps just as significantly, his death is an indescribable loss to all of you. The question most often asked of me over the last years has been, what is Jim O'Brien really like? Is he really as wild and funny as he seems? Well, if the truth be known, of course, Jim had the ability to make us all laugh, and he did that with great regularity. But the fact is that Jim O'Brien was the most intensely serious and driven person I have ever known. committed to the excellence of his work, the success of this organization, and committed to those things in life that he felt were important. And as far as I am concerned, that is the legacy that Jim O'Brien has left. Many of us here feel that Action News has been something of a family. We also recognize that someone like Jim has, in a very definite way, been a part of your family. Most of you have never met him personally, but many of you will shed some tears tonight. Undoubtedly, many of you already have. We certainly will understand if you do. There have been many tears spilled here at Channel 6, and there will be many more. Jim, we will miss you more than you could ever know. Chris.
Thanks, Jim. There is other news around the Delaware Valley and the world tonight. I'll be back with it shortly.